Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakha Nitansham Bhajasi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Bhajasi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Bhajate.
I don't hear you.
Good afternoon, ladies. Welcome to the session. We're very happy to have you here today, and I am extremely honored to have the opportunity to introduce to you a very special Vaishnavi, Narayani Prabhu. Narayani Prabhu joined in 1970, and she's a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and she has made it her life and soul to study Shastra and also to share it, because she believes in taking the mood of her spiritual master Srila Prabhupada, and it was his life and soul to share his knowledge with others. And so she does the same by various means. One of them is teaching Bhakti Shastri and Bhakti Vaibhav at the VIHE in Vrindavan. But she also has a unique seva in the sense that she's also an artist, and she has a book series called At a Glance, Srimad Bhagavatam at a Glance, and Srimad Bhagavad Gita at a Glance. And for every verse, there's a picture. So that's still in the making, but due to our current circumstances, it has been put on ice a little. But I've read it, and it's absolutely beautiful, and you can really see and experience how deeply she has realized what she has read and studied. So we are really fortunate to have her today. And with this, I give over to just one. This will be an interactive session. So all the participants, you are currently put on mute, but when Prabhu asks a question, you could just raise your hand in the participants. You can click on participants, and then you can raise your hand so I can see who to unmute and you can answer. So I will keep track of that. So for now, over to you, Narayani Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Mukam karoti vachalam bhangam langayate girim yakipam tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjara Shakaya Chakshurmiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So before discussing the Vaishnavi qualities in Bhagavad Gita given by Krishna, I'll just tell you a little story about Jagatarini Mataji, Jagatarini Prabhu. She was sent to marry Burijan. They never met each other. She was a famous actress in Australia, from Australia. And she didn't tell her mother and father. So then the newspaper article came, famous actress forced to marry Japanese monk.
Oops.
So her parents got the paper. And then they said, oh my God, it's our daughter. So they went to meet Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, Jagatrini was there, and Prabhupada asked, so this is your father and mother? And Jagatrini said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada smiled at her father and said, so your daughter will deliver you. And the man was a bit flustered. He said, no, oh yes, we always knew she'd do something like that. And so Prabhupada paused and he was showing concern and compassion. And he said, don't think she's given up your service. She's doing the highest service. Because of her, so many generations back and so many forward will be liberated. So I lived in India for so many years, and generally they think only the men can do this. Only if you have a son, then the son can liberate, can do the Shad ceremony. But Prabhupada, he said the daughters can also liberate all the generations if a pure devotee is born in the family. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, among women, I am fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience. So I'd like to use some famous women to illustrate these different qualities. So the first is fame. These are women from Shastra. Draupadi was very famous. She had 5 husbands. And when they were exiled to the forest, Mahabharata tells a story that one time Lord Krishna and Satyabhama visited the Pandavas when they were living in the forest at Kamyavan. And Satyabhama asked Draupadi, how is it you're able to keep your husband so submissive and obedient to you? I see the Pandavas are always ready to please you in all respects, and they never become even slightly angry with you. Do you control them by some mystic chant? Or is it the good result of all the austerities you formerly perform? Or is it just by your youthful beauty and artistic use of dress and makeup that you manage to keep your husbands under your sway? I'm asking you this because I want to keep my dear Lord Krishna under control in just the same way. Please tell me your secret. Draupadi felt offended, and she said, these are the methods of wicked women. You should know men can never be made truly obedient by such means. My secret is simply this. I've given up all sense of false pride, as well as personal desires for sense gratification. I carefully control my anger. I always serve my husbands with great caring and devotion, and I restrain my senses so carefully I don't even allow a glance to betray the slightest bit of emotion. I never think of bathing, eating, or sleeping until my husbands and servants have done so. And I'm ready to rise up quickly at any hour to personally greet my husbands when they return home. I always try to do what is agreeable for them, and I'm cheerful and act without lethargy. Well, and now here's what her duties were as a Kshatriya queen. She was not sitting in the corner weaving baskets. She said, Maharaj Yudhishthira used to feed thousands of brahmanas daily. It was my duty to see their needs were properly taken care of. So she was in charge of food for life in the palace, thousands of people every day. And she said, I had 100,000 maidservants to assist me. I knew the names, faces, and capabilities of each and every one of them. I used to direct all of these maidservants, and any complaints about them would be submitted personally to me. Besides these maidservants, I also knew all the male servants and even the cowherds. So she was temple commander. And she, with the women and the men both. I was I alone who kept track of my husband's daily income and expenditure, and only I knew the totality of their wealth. So she was the accountant as well and the treasurer. So this was, according to the different varnas and ashrams, you had your duties. And she was a Kshatriya lady. And Rukmini, she knew how to drive chariots, because Prabhupada said when Krishna kidnapped her, she was driving the chariot. So the duties of women are different according to your natural qualities and your nature. So Draupadi was a very famous woman. So these were her qualities. Now Kunti was the example of fortune. She was the success potency of Krishna. And although she was success potency, still she had so many difficulties, so many challenges, but she always depended on Krishna for help. Now the next, I'll talk a little bit more about Kunti later on when we come to the quality of intelligence in women. And now the next quality is speech. And we're going to do an exercise in a few minutes on speech. So then we'll have to raise your hand for that. So before I say that, I'd like to explain how Srila Prabhupada applied this quality to Malati's daughter, Saraswati. She was a child in Gurukul and she was learning some slokas. And here is the letter which Prabhupada wrote to Malati. We have seen your note regarding Saraswati Maharaj, and you may engage one Sanskrit teacher for Saraswati, so she shall become a very great scholar, just like Jiva Goswami, and trained in Sanskrit language from early childhood, and no one could surpass him in all of India. So he wanted Saraswati to be a scholar to defeat everyone. So he was encouraging, if we had some talent, Prabhupada would encourage us to use it. Okay, so the most important thing to remember is Krishna. Now, Prabhupada said that if we chant every day one chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam for 1 year, we'll become a learned scholar. So I did that, and then I started teaching Bhakti Vaibhav and Bhakti Vedanta courses. It works. And you don't have to do a whole chapter. You can just do like prayers from a chapter here and there. That works too. So now we're going to do an exercise. I'll tell you what the exercise is, and then I'll ask for volunteers. And you can raise your hand. And then you will have to speak on this exercise. It's a little training in memory, what you remember about Krishna. So the exercise is this. I'm going to say one word to you, you know, like tree, house, purple, green, riding, walking. I'll just say, I'll tell you, it's not one of those words, but I'll tell you when, after you volunteer. You won't know until right the minute you have to speak. You're going to have 1 minute to speak and relate it to Krishna. And that's, you'll see how long is a minute. And Kamala is going to time you. So do we have any volunteers? Anybody would like to try this? 1 minute speaking about Krishna. Kamala will choose anyone. You raise your hand with the blue hand. The blue hand is there. And if we don't have any volunteers, then we'll have to have some of our hosts do it. Okay, we got a volunteer. Okay, so you can unmute your microphone. And I'm going to give you a word. Can you speak?
Hi, Bo. Hi, Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai. What's your name?
Devi Priti Devi Dasi.
Okay, great. So you're going to speak for a minute on Krishna. And your word is red. Okay, now you have to take the word red and relate it to Krishna. Okay, is the timer start?
The first thing that comes to mind is Lord Nrsimhadev. We just had Nrsimhadev's appearance day recently. And so I thought of blood because of how he delivered Hiranyakashipu. From his example, Lord Nrsimhadev really teaches us how Prahlad Maharaj's example of taking shelter of the Lord and how the Lord always will protect his devotees. So when I think of red, I think of Lord Nrsimhadev. And lately I've been noticing that when I was younger, I used to be a little intimidated by Lord Nrsimhadev because he's just like this, you know, he looks kind of scary and I didn't really understand so much about Lord Nrsimhadev. But lately, just hearing some of the lectures by senior devotees, I'm able to see just like how amazing Lord Nrsimhadev is and how his devotees, we take shelter from for protection. And just the example of Prahlad Maharaj and how Prahlad Maharaj teaches us how to take shelter of Krishna at any moment, no matter what difficulties are happening, especially during this lockdown time, even more opportunities to take shelter of Krishna. So yeah, that's the pastime that comes to mind.
1 minute.
Okay, we'll have one more volunteer. We'll have one
Okay.
more volunteer.
Okay, we have Medavini Saki Dasi, Devi Dasi. Do you hear me? Okay.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranams.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so I will start the timer now.
And the word is eyes.
Eyes. Okay, Krishna has lotus-like eyes by which he attracts the whole world. It is said that one person was very much attracted to a prostitute, and Ramanujacharya said, "I will show you the eyes of Ranganath, and once you have the lotus, once you have darshan of the lotus eyes of Ranganath, you will not be attracted to anybody else." So that person went along with Ramanujacharya and got the darshan of Ranganath. And once he had the darshan of Ranganath, he was not attracted to anything else, because the lotus eyes of the Lord are benedicting so much of mercy to anybody who takes darshan with faith and devotion, that the Lord's eyes attract us so much that we lose interest for anything that is material. We lose interest for anything that is not related to Lord Krishna. So when the gopis were
Okay,
attracted.
1 minute.
Oh,
That was
he's got a
very
lot to say.
enthusiastic.
Very good.
That
Okay.
was very good.
Thank you very much. Now you can take this exercise and do it with your friends. And it's a really good training for public speaking. And that's how I started. Okay, now you know what to do. You can write a whole bunch of words on a piece of paper and take it out of a bag or something, or like that. There's many ways you can do it. But it's really good training for being spontaneous and being able to speak on the moment. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your participation. That was memory. That was speech, actually. Speech and memory. So now I'm going to give you an example from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 10th chapter. When Krishna was leaving Hastinapur and going to Dwarka, all the ladies were crying for anxiety for Krishna, and they couldn't stop their tears. They were afraid that this would cause misfortune, because if you cry when somebody's leaving on a trip, this is inauspicious, very inauspicious. And so they were smearing their tears in their eyes. And then they started talking about Krishna and all his activities, his name and his fame. And then they became affectionate, like those who were in direct contact with Krishna. So Prabhupada says that if we also do that, we talk about Krishna with our friends, think of him, talk about his qualities, we'll become affectionate like them, and we'll feel the same thing that they felt. So Prabhupada says, our intimate relation with Krishna can be confidentially revived by our talking of, hearing of, or remembering him. It is so done due to spiritual potency. Now, there are two examples of intelligence from Srimad Bhagavatam. One is Devahuti, another is Kunti. Again, Kunti. So Devahuti, why is she intelligent? Because she heard the whole Sankhya philosophy, which is a very difficult philosophy, analyzing all about the creation, all the elements, counting the elements, and separating the soul from the body, and also about yoga. It was combined with yoga, mystic yoga, meditating on Vishnu, and combined with devotional service also. So she heard there was, so many chapters, over 10 chapters in Bhagavatam on all this philosophy. And what was her conclusion at the end? She came to a conclusion. What was her realization? She said, oh my Lord, a person who's chanting your holy name, although born of a low family like Chandala, is situated on the highest platform of self-realization. Such a person must have performed all kinds of penances and sacrifices according to Vedic rituals, studied the Vedic literatures many, many times after taking bath in all the holy places of pilgrimage. So now in our lockdown, we can't go traveling to the holy places, but we can chant Hare Krishna. And that means everything is complete, everything is done. And so she was very intelligent because her conclusion was just chant Hare Krishna. And so Prabhupada, he gave us that, this chanting of Hare Krishna. And we can also be intelligent if we just take this conclusion of Devahuti. Now, another intelligent person lady in Bhagavatam was Kunti, but she said, I'm less intelligent. How can I understand? You come here to teach the advanced transcendentalists, the mental speculators. How can we women know you perfectly? And so Prabhupada in a lecture said on this verse of Kunti, the fact is Krishna comes for devotees like Kunti. She's an authority. She's not an ordinary woman. Her prayers come in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam. And what is Krishna doing? Krishna has gone to take the dust of her feet before he goes to Dwarka, because she's his superior. She's his aunt. So that's the Vedic system, to offer respect to the superior before you go on a trip. You wanted to get her blessings. Is she going to give her blessings? No. She's going to say, don't go. And that's inauspicious. If somebody says, when you're going on a trip and somebody says, don't go, then that's inauspicious. And so the great yogis, the sannyasis, they go to the forest to avoid bad association. They do austerities just to get a glimpse of Krishna's lotus feet. And they never go to the city or to visit a grihastha. But all these sages and yogis used to come to visit Kunti because Krishna was at Kunti's house. And so just so they could get a chance to see Krishna. So Krishna, out of humility, she's presenting herself as less intelligent. You are meant for the advanced transcendentalists. How can we see you? But Prabhupada said she's seen Krishna and she knows what is Krishna perfectly. Then in a lecture in Bhagavad Gita, oftentimes he would choose that verse from Gita 9:32, where it says, if you're women Shudra or less low birth, if you surrender to me, then you can go to the highest destination. So in his lecture, he was saying, yes, women, they're taken as less intelligent, but they need protection, they cannot be elevated. But here in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna surpasses all these formalities. And so never mind what he is. He's giving facility to everyone. You might think, oh, women is less intelligent or Shudra is less intelligent, but in spiritual consciousness, there's no such bar. Krishna accepts everyone. You're a woman or a Shudra or a Vaishya, doesn't matter. If you just take to Krishna consciousness, Krishna will give you all protection. So humility, you're going to hear a lot about humility in Archana Siddhi's class. So I'm not going to talk a lot about it. I'm just going to touch on it briefly. So I'm going to ask a question to you now, and we don't need to unmute the mics. Just send it in a chat to someone. Who should they send it to? Oh, I don't hear you.
They can send it to me, to Kamala Sita.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question, and you send it in a chat to Kamala Sita, and she will read the answers. So what is the necessity of humility in Krishna consciousness? Why do we need to be humble? What is it?
I have answers. They say it's to learn, to become egoless, and it invokes mercy or blessings.
Okay, yeah. I like that one about learning, because if you think you know everything, how can you learn anything?
And we need to become humble to become, they're writing very fast. We need to become humble in order to surrender, to become purified. Pride is an obstacle to devotional service.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says it is most important to develop love for Krishna, so we needed to develop love for Krishna, to become sincere. Good. So that our heart softens to progress in bhakti and let go of false ego. Good.
Nice answers. Okay, so I'll also read something. There's a verse in Bhagavatam, or it could be a purport, 6:17-14. Unless one is meek and humble, one cannot qualify to sit at the lotus feet of the Lord. And the Lord is always looking at his lotus feet, and that's where the humble devotees are. They're at his feet. Now here's something from Burijan. When the roots of humility grow deeper, the tree of bhakti grows taller. So if you have humility, your bhakti will grow. These are the roots of bhakti. The roots of humility will help your bhakti tree. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati has defined humility as the absence of the enjoying spirit. Okay, so we're going to move to patience, the quality of patience. Gandhari had that. I mean, she blindfolded herself to follow her husband. That's very extreme. And it was a great austerity. Because of that, she became very powerful in yoga. She could do so many things. So we need patience and determination. We were hearing from Dina Tarini, patience, determination, and enthusiasm. So these go together. So when difficulties come, we have to be patient. Mahabharata says if someone gets angry with you and you tolerate it, then you will get all their good qualities and they will get your bad qualities. That's Mahabharata. Now I would like to give an example of one of my god sisters who had patience. Her name is also Kunti Devi. She left her body some years ago. When she got cancer of the breast, the cancer spread viciously and entered her spine and into her organs and crippled her. And the doctor said, there's absolutely nothing anyone can do. You have 6 months to live. And she was paralyzed from the waist down. She was in a wheelchair. And they said she had so much pain. But she was always smiling, always encouraging, making everyone happy. It was so phenomenal. She was so positive, so blissful. The local TV station heard about it and they got her on TV. And the hostess was just praising her. Kunti Devi was talking to the people, giving lectures about the beauty of life, the beauty of bhakti, the good fortune of anyone who has Krishna. And the hostess asked her, how could you be so happy when you're in such a condition? She replied, because I know I'm the soul. I'm eternal. This body is just a temporary situation, and this situation is bringing my soul closer to God. Therefore, I'm rejoicing and I'm happy. Well, that's patience. That requires a lot of patience. According to the doctor's diagnosis, her physical symptoms and everything else was utterly hopeless and miserable, except one thing, her consciousness. And so that's what we take with us. That's what we take with us in this life and after this life is our consciousness. So she left her body surrounded by devotees. And two devotees had a vision of her at the time of death, an airplane coming to get her, Vaikuntha airplane. So that was amazing. We have amazing examples all among us. We just have to find them. We have to find those devotees who have these qualities. We have to search. We have to see these qualities in others, and then we can develop them ourselves. So another quality is faithfulness. So we need to be faithful to Srila Prabhupada. We need to follow his instructions. We need to be, again, enthusiastic. And we need to be determined, and we need to be patient. And if now we're all in lockdown, I mean, most of us at home. So we have to make our home the spiritual world. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Jaitin grihe bhajana deki grihe te gola kapaya. Whenever someone glorifies the Lord in his home, his activities are immediately transformed into the activities of Goloka Vrindavan. And so some of us have, we may have family to serve, we may be alone, but how can we do our duties as a service for Krishna and at the same time always remember Krishna? So I have heard this in other sessions with the other ladies, but we must be grateful. Gratitude. Be grateful to Guru, be grateful to Krishna for their gifts. When we wake up in the morning, we should wake up with gratefulness. We should be thankful. Thank you, Krishna, for giving me this day. Let me use it to serve you. Thank you for my family. Thank you for my friends. Thank you for a place in the Association of Devotees. So this is very helpful. Now again, I'm going to ask you a question. What are you grateful for? Do it in the chat. Send some answers. what you are grateful for.
Srila Prabhupada,
Yeah, Jai.
Srila Prabhupada, ISKCON, Guru Maharaj, I'm grateful for the process of bhakti. Blessings and associations of the Vaishnava, stable internet connection for the Sangha. Me too.
That's important right now.
For my mom that she sent me this link to this retreat. So I'm grateful for Vaishnavi retreat to bringing me to this beautiful world of Krishna consciousness. Everybody's saying retreat. That's noted.
Okay. We are grateful for our association here.
Harinam.
Harinam.
COVID-19. Someone is thankful for COVID-19, and yeah, thank you for being in the session with you, Narayani Prabhu, and community of devotees.
Okay.
And yeah, family.
Okay, so we'll go on. So how do we start our day? As devotees, we should start our day with japa. How we chant our rounds determines how our day is going to go. How will our day go? If we are inattentive to our chanting, we'll be inattentive to our other duties. If we're impatient to finish our rounds, we'll be impatient to finish our other duties. If we see chanting as a burden, we'll see everything as a burden. And so this is, we should pay special attention to chanting our rounds. This will be helpful for us to have a good day and to be grateful for Krishna and an auspicious day. And if you can see Mangal Arti online, that would be also very helpful. That would be helpful. Okay, next question. I'm going to ask you, we've finished actually the qualities. Now I want to ask you a very interesting question that maybe you haven't thought of before. So the question is, and write your answers to the chat, to Kamala. What are the advantages to being women in Krishna consciousness? What are the advantages? Why is it good to be a woman in Krishna consciousness?
Oh, okay, we're having a flood of answers here. We can bring our family to Krishna consciousness. We can be role models. We can set our children examples. We have the opportunity to serve. We learn patience. We can bring our family to Krishna consciousness. We teach our children our own example. We have softer natures. We have role models. We are heart-centered and emotional intelligence, or we have, and being a woman feels closer to Srila Prabhupada. It's interesting, and the mood of service comes naturally.
Mm-hmm. These are good answers.
And Vaishnavi association, mothers of future devotees.
Good.
Open heart to imbibe the mood of the gopis. We have less tendency to have the mood of I am the enjoyer.
Good.
And someone says we can do more service. We bring a different perspective and show inclusivity. We have many more friends. Humility comes to us naturally. We have that, and we can reconnect to the real feminine energy.
Good.
And we can cook for devotees. We are nurturing mothers. We can multitask.
Great. So many answers.
We can be in a position to learn true humility, even as this might not be our initial natural behavior. And our false ego is less than men. We get better chance to make our home spiritual.
Yes, yes,
And unconditional love comes naturally.
yes, yes.
And we are sensitive, and we are sensitive in our emotions.
Hmm.
The consciousness of a mother is more important than that of the father, so we have a high responsibility and duty to start at the start of life. I can create a chance to be selfless, and we have the mood to serve. There's
Okay.
like more than 50
Okay.
answers.
We'll
So
stop there. That's really nice. Thank you so much. I have a few more to add, which I've heard in other seminars which I've given. That women can transform the hard hearts of men by prasad distribution. And now here's two really interesting answers. Women can wear colors. Somebody gave that answer to me. And another one was Krishna loves women. Okay. So now we know why it's good to be a woman in Krishna consciousness. And you can think more about that, why it's good. So now we're going to do a meditation. And this is from Braja Leela. So I'm going to share this meditation with you. I want you to close your eyes. Imagine you will die today. How will you answer these questions? How will you answer these questions? So that, now don't write on the chat. You got your eyes closed, so you can't write. Don't write this on the chat. First question, who do I most want to say I love you to? According to our capacity to love, of course. That's the first question. Now, the second question is, what relationships am I incomplete with? Or what do I desperately wish I could have gotten complete with before I die? So these are important questions. If you feel you're going to leave your body, then these are the questions which you'll have to resolve. The third question, what was I most afraid of? And if I weren't afraid of those things, how would my life have been different? Number 4, what fed my spirit? What did I love doing that I didn't do enough of? Think of those things that made you fall to your knees in awe and made you feel happy about your life. Why didn't I make that thing or those things the center of my life? And the last question, what will people remember me for? What am I leaving behind? Okay, so no matter what answers we come up with, the truth is we're blessed beyond what we can imagine. By the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and our gurus, we have been given the most precious gift, the opportunity to chant the holy name. So now I'm going to ask you a question that you can share in the chat again. This is the question. What practice or action I have found to be essential for living a life worth living and being able to not only remain on the path of bhakti, but also continue to make advancement? What helps you? What have you found helpful to stay on the path of bhakti? What is
chanting my japa 100%, compassion, chanting, having association or Srila Prabhupada's lectures and books, reading Srila Prabhupada's books, association with devotees, association, reading every day, sadhu sangha and hearing from Vaishnavas, association, faith, prayers, reading and understanding, devotees, beautiful qualities, association of devotees, association guru, singing Vaishnava bhajans, constant association of devotees, reading Srila Kirtan, Srila Prabhupada, book distribution groups, book discussion groups, sorry.
Oh, okay.
And the example of my Gurudev,
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank
so
you.
long.
That's a good one. Okay, so now this is not a question to you. It's just a rhetorical question. What happens when our husband leaves home and the children leave home? We hear the answer in Srimad Bhagavatam, in first canto, 15th chapter, verse 50. Draupadi had 5 husbands. Bhagavatam says, she saw her husbands without caring for her or leaving home. They just walked out the door without saying a word. She knew well about Lord Vasudeva Krishna, personality of Godhead. Both she and Subhadra became absorbed in thoughts of Krishna and attained the same result as their husband. So Prabhupada says, while flying an airplane, one cannot take care of other planes. Everyone has to take care of his own plane. And if there's any danger, no other plane can help another in that condition. Similarly, at the end of life, when one has to go back home, back to Godhead, everyone has to take care of himself without help rendered by another. The help is, however, offered on the ground before flying in space. Similarly, spiritual master, the father, the mother, the relatives, the husband, and others can all render help during one's lifetime. But while crossing the sea, one has to take care of himself and utilize instructions formerly received. Draupadi had 5 husbands, and no one asked Draupadi to come. Draupadi had to take care of herself without waiting for her great husbands. And because she was already trained, she at once took to concentration upon the lotus feet of Lord Vasudeva, Krishna, personality of Godhead. The wives also got the same result as their husbands in the same manner. That is to say, without changing their bodies, they reached the destination of Godhead. So, Draupadi and Subhadra. Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur suggests both Draupadi and Subhadra, although Subhadra's name is not mentioned here, and got the same result. None of them had to quit the body. And so we have our training now in this life, and at the time of death, of course, now it's practice. We can practice now already with this training. But at the time of death, then we have to go ourselves. Of course, we can surround ourselves with devotees chanting, and that's really helpful. That's really nice. So I also would like to share you 4 principles of positive thinking when difficulties come. So I'll just say the 4 principles, and then we'll discuss a little bit about it. The first one is to accept the truth. That might be hard when you're in a difficult situation. The second principle is to be optimistic. The third principle is to be grateful, gratitude. And the 4th principle is appreciation. So accept the truth. When sometimes situations go bad, we artificially psych ourselves up with false assurances. It's everything's okay. Nothing's wrong. So the strength to accept the bitter truths of life comes if we're anchored on the absolute truth, the truth of God, and our sweet and loving relationship with Him. So a culture of prayers, chanting Hare Krishna gives us strength to accept disturbing events and be peaceful and sober, even during the emotionally painful periods of our lives. So we heard many suggestions how to remain steady in our Krishna consciousness. The second is to be optimistic. However bad the situation is, there's always a lesson we can learn. We need to look for the possible positive and good outcome of an apparently negative event. What lesson? Where is Krishna here? Where is Krishna's hand in this? Look for Krishna. Then the third one is gratitude. Our life is a constant flow of blessings. If we can just simply thank Krishna and other people for the gifts we are constantly getting, then we'll remain positive rather than get cynical. Gratitude keeps our life simple, our hearts pure, our minds peaceful. So we have to see the good that has been given to us. Now, there's an exercise. We're not going to do it now. This is something to take home with you and practice. This is when a difficult situation comes, what to do. Now, what you have to do is write down 10 reasons why you're grateful to Krishna that this happened. I'll give you an example. Thank you, Krishna, for breaking my computer, because now I won't forget how to write with a pen. Thank you, Krishna, for breaking my computer, because now I'll get more exercise outside. Thank you, Krishna, for breaking my computer, because now my health will be better. Thank you, Krishna, Of course, it's not good during lockdown, but because we need our computers now. Thank you, Krishna, for breaking my computer, because now I'll think more. I'll use my brain more. I'll use my brain. Thank you, Krishna, for breaking my computer, because now I'll get a new computer. And so, and an interesting happens when you turn your mind from negative to positive. If you do this exercise, a very interesting thing happens. Often when you do this exercise, the person who tried it with the computer started working after the 10th reason. And that has happened to me too. One time my internet was messed up completely, and I was traveling in Sweden. And I wrote 8 reasons, and I fell asleep. And then at night I had a dream. Well, before that I called my son, who's my technical expert. And he told me what to do step by step, and I was trying it, but it wasn't working. So then at night I fell asleep, and then I had a dream how to do it. And I woke up the next morning and I did it, and my internet was fixed. So yes, this is it does work, and even if it doesn't work, then you change your whole mentality to gratefulness. And your anger goes away. Sometimes you get frustrated, you get angry, and it helps to develop good qualities when you do this exercise. And so this is to be grateful for. We're grateful for good things, but are we grateful for the difficulties? Like Kunti. I mean, we're not going to go as extreme as Kunti and say bring more difficulties, but we're going to say, okay, thank you, Krishna. I know this is your mercy. Somehow I don't understand it right now, but I'm going to find something positive in this. Okay, so the last of these 6 principles of positive thinking, appreciation. And this was stressed in the class by Uttama Prabhu. These kind words of encouragement and sincere appreciation of others emits positive energy everywhere. So it creates a cycle of positivity. If you sincerely appreciate others, they will catch you. You try to catch others doing something right. Okay, so here's my last question to you before you can ask questions to me. And that is, you can write in the chat the answers. What would you like to do after you have done all the things you feel you have to do? What's the thing that you never have time to do that you want to do? What is it that you really would like to do?
Japa, writing. Me too. Make outfits for our home deities, go to Mayapur, read Shastra, travel.
Okay.
Take Bhakti Shastri in Mayapur, reading, learn to play harmonium, go to Radha Deshmelos,
Okay.
reading, visit all the
So
ISKCON
whoever wants
temples
to
in the
read,
world.
now's a good time.
Yeah, Bhakti
Now's a good
Vaibhav,
time.
yeah. Going to India during Kartik, read Bhagavatam, yeah, learn nice recipes for deities. Kirtan,
Good.
yeah.
Okay. Read all of Prabhupada's books.
Yeah, stay with devotees. Someone said read all of Prabhupada's books. Yeah, you can see some of these.
Yeah, I can see it. Okay. So I think we'll stop here, and now you can ask questions to me. I've asked you all the questions. I have. So what questions do you have? I think you might see some in the chat, actually. I think I saw one.
Yeah, I have to scroll up a little. I just saw one.
I saw one about Bhagavad Gita, the quality of speech, or the qualities of the ladies.
Yeah, why? How do women represent intelligence? Or that was sort of the question. I just have to get.
Yeah. How do women represent intelligence?
Where is it?
So the answer is when you become a devotee. That's how you represent intelligence. And when you become a devotee, you become the most intelligent person. And there's a way to get more intelligence if you think you're less intelligent. And I'll tell you the secret, which I found. And that is to chant japa. because japa with attention. Because when I used to teach Srimad Bhagavatam, what I would do is if there was a verse I didn't know how to speak on or explain, I would read the verse, then I would chant one round of japa. And after that one round of japa, I would get the answers. And one time I had to speak on a whole chapter on time, which was so complex. So I read the whole chapter and I chanted all my 16 rounds. And after that, I got a chart, and just spontaneously, that I could do all the times, and it just fell in place. So if you know where do you get intelligence from is super soul. And nobody is, there's no obstacle to that. The only obstacle is ourselves if we're not attentive in our chanting. If we're attentive in our chanting, then we can contact super soul and we can get unlimited intelligence. And I found that in my life.
Okay, there are two more. There's one in everybody can see this. Why does Draupadi and Subhadra went to the spiritual abode without changing bodies? Does that mean they had their material bodies? That's one question. And the other one is, why does Krishna call women less intelligent? Because Krishna says Shudras and women can also understand.
Right. So the first question about, their body was a combination of material elements and spiritual, but basically it was spiritual because they were in Krishna's association. And Srila Prabhupada has said we can make our body, we can spiritualize our material body by being in Krishna consciousness. Mm-hmm. We can spiritualize it. Like if you take an iron rod and stick it into fire, it becomes red hot, it acts like fire. So we can spiritualize our bodies by always being in Krishna consciousness. So that would be the answer. And the other one, what was the other one?
The other one was, why does Krishna call women less intelligent? Because Krishna says Shudras and women can also understand.
Vaishyas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, when you go into the Varnashram system, which is a material system to elevate people, then you have different classes of people. And the Shudras and the women and that, except, of course, if you're a Brahmana woman, a Brahmani, then you're considered more intelligent, because if you marry a Brahmani woman marries a Shudra man, then that's considered not good. So she's more intelligent than so it's very intricate in the Varnashram system, but this system is material. Lord Chaitanya rejected it. If it's not connected with Krishna, of course, we connect everything with Krishna, then it becomes spiritual. And the real purpose of Varnashram is to please Krishna. So if you're a devotee, as I read the quote from Prabhupada, that if you're surrendering to Krishna, if you're a devotee woman, then you're not less intelligent. You're the most intelligent. You're the most intelligent in this world. So that's, Prabhupada did make a distinction, and he's representing Krishna. So that's why you need Prabhupada to explain what Krishna says. And Prabhupada explained that in Bhagavad Gita, the chapter 9, verse 32, Krishna is throwing away the Varnashram and is saying, everybody can, if you surrender to me, you're the most intelligent. You can come to me and go back to Godhead. So that was the quote I gave on that point. That's why it's important to understand Krishna consciousness. I think here's a question I can see, and I would like to it's how my path to Bhaktivedanta. I think I would like to do that. Mm-hmm. I would like to take that question, how about my path, because it wasn't easy. For the first 27 years, I never gave a class. I was Pujari for 7 years. I was a book distributor traveling India for 7 years. I was in India since 1972. And women didn't give class. And then I went to Vrindavan. And it was really interesting that how I became Bhaktivedanta. I started teaching Bhaktivedanta course and Srimad Bhagavatam at all. But I had been voraciously reading Prabhupada's books the whole time. For the first 10 years, for the 27 years, I had read Prabhupada's book 10 times, all of them, whatever was there. So I really love reading Prabhupada's books, but I never gave a class. So then I was in Vrindavan, and my son was in Gurukul. I had a son, and for the first time in my life, I had no service. So I was praying to Krishna, please give me a service. What service should I do for you now? I did book distribution, I do Pujari, I was a mother for each one, 7 years. Now I'm in Vrindavan. What service can I do? I was praying, and I got it by chanting japa attentively. I got inspiration that I should share. Well, first I thought, okay, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to read his books. That's what I like to do. So I started reading Prabhupada's books. And I started chanting. And after I started chanting, I got the inspiration. I should share what I read. I should share what I know. And how am I going to do that? Because, and then I said, well, I need confirmation of that. How I should be a teacher. I should lecture. I should do this, but I'm scared to death of doing this. And I don't have any facility. But I thought, well, I need some confirmation. I went to Prabhupada's Samadhi. There was a tape playing. I was trying to get association with Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, do you think the deity is made of stone? I looked at Prabhupada. I said, no, Prabhupada, I think you're here, but I really need some personal guidance. So I went to Prabhupada's house, and I saw a letter on his desk, and there it was. It says, the letter said, now you are one of my senior disciples. I'm depending on you. You have learned the art of Krishna consciousness. You should teach it purely for the benefit of others. I said, okay, confirmation. No facility. I was in Vrindavan. Women can't give class in the temple. The VIHE in 1994 was only for men. Women could not go to Bhakti Shastri. I mean, you could attend the Gita class, but you couldn't take any tests. You couldn't attend the other classes, Nectar of Devotion. It was only for men. So I said, okay, where am I gonna teach? So I thought, well, I was convinced that this was what Prabhupada wanted me to do. I was completely convinced. So I started teaching in my room. I was living outside in somebody's house. And I was teaching for a few times. And then the guard said, you can't bring people here. This is a private house. I said, okay. So then I went to the guest house in Vrindavan on the roof, and I was teaching up there. And so this was for about a year. And then I got a place to live behind MBT. And I taught there for 2 years. And after 3 years of just doing it, because Prabhupada said, just do it. So I was just teaching because I knew that was Prabhupada's order. And after 3 years of teaching on my own in my room, they opened up Bhakti Shastri for women in VIHE. And I started teaching there. And then, so 1 year I taught the women. The next year, the brahmacharis teacher didn't show up. I taught the brahmacharis. And then after that, I started traveling in Europe and teaching. After only 1 year in VIHE. And then I started Bhakti Vaibhava, Bhakti Vedanta courses. That's how it happened. It wasn't easy, but I really had faith that was the order. That's what Prabhupada wanted me to do, and I was so scared to speak in public. It was so funny. My first Bhakti Shastri class, there was a Gurukuli girl there. And the first question someone asked me, I didn't know the answer. And she knew it. I said, okay, all right, no problem. You know the answer, that's good. I can learn from you. So, that's how it happened. And here I am today, traveling. Of course, not traveling. I'm in lockdown, but somehow I'm still sharing what's happening. I saw a question on the chat about Bhagavad Gita, and some people say it doesn't refer to women. I saw a question really early on the chat. So I mean, anybody can do it. You just have to be convinced and have faith in the order of the spiritual master. And if the facility is not there, just make the facility. That's all. You have to make your own facility. In the early days, we had no facility for anything, and we just had to make it. And so that's what I did, and that's what you can do too. You just make the facility. Yeah. I did see a question about Bhagavad Gita. Some people say that this verse doesn't refer to women. Well, we don't listen to some people. We listen to Prabhupada, who translated women. Prabhupada translated the verse women, and in the original Bhagavad Gita, in the purport, he said, if a woman has these qualities. They changed it in the new translation to if a person has these qualities. In the original, it was if a woman has these qualities. So, yeah. Okay, I think I saw a question about how to explain less intelligence to new people. Yeah, if you, so once, yeah, you see that?
How,
recent one.
yeah, how do we explain these statements about women in scriptures to new people?
Yeah, so what I would say is if you remain in the material concept of life, then you're less intelligent. But if you take to the spiritual concept, if you understand you're a spirit soul, then you're the most intelligent. Then then everyone's equal. But if you think, and that's what Prabhupada answered to someone who asked Prabhupada that question, he says women are less intelligent. Prabhupada, if you think you're less intelligent, then you're less intelligent. If you think you're a woman, then you're less intelligent. Anyway, that was what I would say is that as long as you remain in the material concept of life, then this can be true. And of course, we did hear the answer from Krishna Rupa, which my answer is, how are women less intelligent in the material life? And I say, because you listen to the men. When you listen to the men, then that shows you're less intelligent, because they flatter you. They want to flatter you, and they say, oh, this, that, and you believe them. That what they're saying is true. That they don't have an agenda. They're trying to get you.
Prabhu, I have some questions that came to me privately.
Oh, how do I answer that?
No, I mean they wrote to me, and it's not on the chat.
Oh, I see.
Someone's asking, how can we remain when we are being praised? And how can, it's about how to accept praise without becoming proud.
Okay, yeah, well, that's how to accept praise. Just remember that who you are. You're a servant of your spiritual master, and whatever you're doing, he's actually doing through you. So if somebody praises you, oh yeah, that was really good class. Yeah, that was the mercy of my spiritual master, because he's using me as an instrument. And that I had to get over my false humility that I can't give class. I don't have this, I don't have that. And I was in the samadhi, sitting in the samadhi with Srila Prabhupada. He said, I'm horrified. How can I give this? Bhakti Vaibhav, sannyasis are in the class. And the answer I got was, you're not giving the class. I'm doing it through you. So we have to remember who we are actually in relationship to Krishna, in relationship to the spiritual master. We're the instruments. Then if the praise comes, yeah, of course. Prabhupada can do anything, even through me. Yeah, you have to realize who we are in our relationship.
And then another question is our intelligence sometimes counterproductive?
Material intelligence can be counterproductive, yes. There's two kinds of intelligence. There's material and there's spiritual. So your material intelligence can misguide you and lead you on the wrong path if you listen. Your spiritual intelligence can elevate you. And this is, although Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, it's your mind can elevate or degrade you. Your intelligence can also elevate or degrade you, Bhagavatam says. There is material intelligence, there is spiritual intelligence. If you just go for the material intelligence and don't spiritualize it, then yeah, you're going to have a problem there.
Okay, so we have some Facebook questions just came in. I have to, okay. How and what practices do you recommend to become steady in the study of Srimad Bhagavatam?
What practices to recommend for studying Bhagavatam?
To become steady, to
Steady.
make,
Well, I would read every day. First of all, I would read Bhagavatam every day. At least, if you can't read a lot, just read a verse, read a purport, and see if you can relate it to your life, if you can use it. Now, reading is one thing. That's kind of like theoretical. We got the knowledge. Now, the next thing is to apply it in your day. Okay. Kunti is accepting everything as mercy. Okay, now your day is coming. Okay, let me see what is coming to me as mercy today. Where is the mercy coming? Am I accepting everything as mercy today? You have to apply it.
Mhm.
You have to apply it, and then it becomes real, and it becomes realized. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, tolerate. Okay, today I'm going to tolerate. I'm going to practice tolerating, or this week, or this month. And that's the difference between theoretical and realized knowledge, is when you bring it into your life. And that will really help, because then you can give examples how you were successful in tolerating, how you were unsuccessful in tolerating, and how you can improve. How you saw things as Krishna's mercy, how you didn't see things as Krishna's mercy. Yeah.
Yeah, we have some other questions. Should I consider myself in a female body, or rather do sadhana bhakti to please Srila Prabhupada and beloved Guru Maharaj, and seek their blessings to pursue whatever service I am capable of, even in a female body, and think of oneself as the spirit, soul, as eternal servant of Krishna? So it's about, we're in a female body, but does that mean we have to do only female things, or can we do whatever we are capable of? Where's the balance?
No, Srila Prabhupada did accept females as doing anything. Like, I was in India. I was a head pujari for 7 years. So that's that, now in India, it's changed, the paradigm has shifted according to Krishna Rupa. But in those days, and not only that, one interesting thing, when I was pujari, I met one lady from Gaudiya Math. And she told me she was also pujari. So it's not just ISKCON, they also had female pujaris in Prabhupada's time. I thought that was really interesting. She was sharing with me how she was also pujari. And whatever you're capable of, that is what you should do. And that was the story of my life. We did deity worship. The women's Sankirtan party in India was the first traveling Sankirtan. The women pujaris were the first in India. We trained up the men in deity worship, in book distribution, in Bhakti Shastri, and whatever. It's like, you can do. If you have a spiritual desire, Krishna will fulfill it. There's no obstacle. But you have to make that desire strong. You have to have a strong spiritual desire. You see yourself as a servant of Krishna. Yes.
Yeah, to connect to your point there, I just got a question here, is how can I give up the desire for gaining salvation or the end of suffering, and to come to the desire of satisfying Krishna and Krishna's devotees instead of just not suffering?
Yeah, the desire for liberation is finished at the level of ruchi, according to Shikshastakam. And that's when you're feeling, not that I don't care about money, I don't care about distinction, I don't care about liberation, I just want to serve you. Now that will come naturally when you do your devotional service. Now most of us are in the struggling stage of anartha nivritti. But then when we develop humility, actual humility, then we can come to nishta, or steadiness. We can come to steadiness. And then from steadiness, we come to ruchi. At the level of ruchi, then we get free of that desire for liberation. Until then, it's difficult to become free from that. In our natural course, we will come to that level where I can stay here birth after birth. But that's the level of ruchi in devotional service. Well, now we should at least try for steadiness or nishta. Try to be steady, and that's gained by humility. Okay.
Okay, there's a last question that I have here for everyone is, there's a statement, I think it comes from the story. It's a statement that women are sexually more lusty than men. Do you have anything to say on that? I mean, from I know where it comes from. It's like that Kardama Muni had to expand himself
Into 9.
into 9 to facilitate devotees certain. And I've heard also, to expand on this question, that it therefore people say that women are more lusty, or they have more desires than men.
Yeah. Okay. So again, this is referring to people who are in the material concept of life. This may apply. It's not simply sex lust does not simply apply to sex, gross sex life, but it applies to wanting things. I need this, I need that, I need to have. We want to expand. We want to expand on things. I just see my granddaughter going in the shop, and she says, I need this, I need that, I need this, I need that. It's just like an expansion of enjoying spirit. Or lust is actually enjoying spirit that we want to enjoy. So when you do come to devotee women, my experience in counseling people is that I find that the women have more problem with men that are too lusty. I find a lot of women have that problem, that the men they want to enjoy, and the women, they get a kid, they're finished. They don't want so much. So when you do come to spiritual life, when you do have children, then everything changes. Things change when you're a devotee woman. That's experience in my life too. Also, that I was like, I was married before I was a devotee. We both became devotees, and when I joined before my husband 2 months, and as soon as I became I became a devotee, then it was like somebody pushed the switch, and I didn't care anymore about sex life or anything. It was just like, oh wow, great, I don't need it. But then there was the problem with my husband. So I would say everybody has their different qualities, their natural characteristics, and women also have their natural characteristics, and some will be on that level, and some will not. And if you come to spiritual life, then you can find a lot of women who are naturally renounced and are not lusty. And so I would say when you come to spiritual life, then everything changes. And again, this is devotee women. It's not referring to devotee women. You can't generalize it that all devotee women are lusty. Like, anyway, yeah, I would say that. Yes.
Okay. There's a question about, did Prabhupada insist that women always wear saris?
Prabhupada insists that women always wear saris. When Prabhupada was here, we were living in the temple, basically. And so we were all wearing saris. But then, and I went to India in 1972. And after that, in America, things changed. That he did approve that when women went on book distribution, they could change they could have just a nice dress, nice proper dresses. So that changed. That came for both men and women. That came for both men and women at the same time. It was not just women. That change came, but I was not there. So, I mean, I know about it from reading about it. And very interestingly, there was like the first day it happened, before they asked Prabhupada about it. It was in Los Angeles, and one devotee was going out in the dhoti, and others were going out in karmi dress, in regular dress. And there was a competition to see who would do better. So they put the devotee in the devotee dress in a really bad place where he couldn't distribute, and they put the other ones in a good place. So he said that's what happened. And they told Prabhupada, oh, it's better if we wear karmi dresses. The Prabhupada said, okay, if that's how you can distribute books. But the real history, I think, needs to be found out about that.
Prabhu, I'm getting, there are a few people that are asking about something extremely sensitive. And that's, I myself don't know the statement, but maybe you know. They say that Prabhupada maybe made a statement that women enjoy rape. And she, this is her message. Mother Narayani, as much as we respect Srila Prabhupada as our founder, Acharya, and have the utmost respect for everything he has done for us, as a woman, I sometimes am reminded of Srila Prabhupada's statements in regards to women. For example, that women enjoy rape. I don't know about that statement. So do you have anything to say on that? Or?
Right. Okay, well, yeah, that's there in Bhagavatam. And when I read that, the first time I read it, yes, it's in Bhagavatam. What I understood was that, because I had read so much of Prabhupada in so many books, and so my understanding was that women like a man who is forceful. That's all. That he's like that, not like they like rape. Prabhupada, it seems like he didn't use the correct word, the terminology, which he was, which he wanted. I mean, that's how I took it. After reading so much of Prabhupada, then it just didn't register to me that he said that's what he meant. It didn't register to me that that's exactly what he meant. Because in other places he did talk about rape, and he said, no, this is really bad, this is horrible. So so when he used it in that context, you have to understand the context. Then I didn't take it that way, that that's what he meant, is that women enjoy rape. Although that's what literally it says.
Yeah, it's written, but due to the context and maybe his linguistic was not his mother tongue, we may have to take it into a larger context.
Yeah, and even when I first read Bhagavad Gita, and he said women are less intelligent, I said, yeah, but maybe I'm less intelligent, but in spiritual life I can go beyond it, because I had read everything he said, and I said, yeah, but it doesn't matter, because I'm a soul, I'm a spirit soul. So even it doesn't matter if I'm less intelligent. I can go back to Godhead with whatever I have. I just need to surrender to Krishna and serve him, and he will see the good. Like Putana was less intelligent. She tried to kill Krishna, and Krishna took the good. Krishna took the good.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems that the ladies have a lot of questions about this specific topic, about how violence is somehow rationalized.
Yeah, well, Prabhupada wasn't talking about violence, but
violence against women.
Yeah, I think people read into Prabhupada what they want to. And so that's why we have to take the whole picture of his books, his conversations, his lectures. We have to take everything together and see, okay, is this consistent with what he said in other places? How did he actually approach these things in his conversations and his lectures? We have to see the whole picture. We can't just say, okay, here's a statement, I don't agree with this. But then we have to expand, and we have to see, well, how did he approach this topic on a greater level, on a broader level,
I just, we have about 10 minutes left.
Okay.
So the question, it came to me privately, is 20 brahmacharis can share a room, but two women find it difficult to share. There's more room for gossip, back talking, and complexity in emotions. and expression and straight communication. Please, can you rationalize?
The problem I found in the ladies' ashram, it was a madhouse. I lived in the ladies' ashram for 12 years, even though I was married, because there is no place for grihastas in India. It was a madhouse, I can say. It's a mental asylum. In one place in Bombay, we had a ghost. We had 5 rooms, and there was a ghost for each room. One of the ladies in each room had a ghost, and they would attack me because I'm sensitive. But then during the real life, it was also crazy too. I think one problem is that for most women, they need to be living with men. And when they live with women, it's not going to be the same thing. And there's some needs there. And there are some needs that are not being met when they live with women. And that's part of the material body. And those needs weren't being met in the ladies' ashram, especially young ladies. We're all young ladies together. And the bodies are made male and female together and whatever. So I think that was the problem. Now, that's what I noticed. People, they wanted to be married and were all stuck together, frustrated, but we were engaged in Prabhupada's service. We were engaged in Prabhupada's service. So we could go beyond it. But it was difficult, very difficult. You know?
Yeah. Okay, ladies, are there any last questions? We have 6 minutes on the clock. Otherwise, we have to wrap up for the next session starting in a little bit. I'll just wait. Okay, let's see. There's one question I missed. Why in India are female pujaris not allowed now? Even in our temple, the president is not allowing for this. Is there a specific reason or a GBC rule?
Well, on the altar, they are allowed, as far as I know, in Chopati. They are allowed. In some temples, they are allowed. And in more temples, they're cooking. They're cooking, and in all the temples, they're making garlands. But they are not, so they're doing service for the deities. But pujari, in a few select temples. And even when everything changed in India, in Calcutta, I was pujari, and there was one Indian lady who was still pujari up until she died in 1996. It was going on, and still in India, it was still accepted. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it doesn't seem that there
but I don't know why now. Why this? I don't know how it stopped. How it came to a stop. I have no idea. Yeah.
Okay, so I think, yeah, I don't want to go, but ladies, we have to wrap up because we have it's kind of, if we go over time now, we snowball into the next session. Oh, wait, there's another question. During menstruation, women is yeah, okay, that's an answer for the pujari service. What is it? Okay, there's a question from Facebook. What is the difference between media and buddhi? I don't know if that's a spelling mistake.
I didn't get it.
Yeah, I don't. There's a
Metta and
buddhi. Okay,
Metta
and buddhi.
As far as I know, media? No, I think metta is correct. Metta. Because metta, as far as I know, means intelligence. So, and buddhi means intelligence. So I don't know the difference. I think they're the same.
Okay. Okay, so there we have.
Okay, read the purport of Bhagavad Gita 10:34 and you'll find out the answer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, ladies, that's a wrap. We would like to take, and I would like to just extend really a lot of thanks to you, Narayani Prabhu. It was such an enlivening class, and it really helps. I especially enjoyed the four. It's really you have this ability to just compact such a whole lot of knowledge into really practical steps for us to follow. And I'm pretty sure that we all leave this session with so much more tools in our arsenal of just getting of being able to live our lives as devotees. So I'd like to thank you very, very much, and we hope to see you again soon, maybe in person, or again in this Zoom format.
And it's Prabhupada's mercy, remember.
Yes.
Not me.
Thank you for sharing Prabhupada's mercy with us.
Okay.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you from Brazil. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you so much. Haribol.
Haribo, go Premanande. Haribo.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Okay,
Thank you so
My
much.
website, naranidasi.com.
Thank you so
Krishna,
much.
thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Haribo.
Haribo.
Srila Prabhupada
So we
ki
have
jai.
to.
Hare Krishna.
So we have to end now.
Okay, Haribo.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, where's Amrita? Amrita?